Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining today. This is your host Nino inviting you to another episode concerning the book 386 Modern DOS Computer, which is produced in modern times but comes with an AMD 386 Intel 8386 compatible processor, 8 megabytes of RAM, a 2 gigabyte compact flash card, and the pleasantries of the end of the 80s and beginning of the 90s, with perhaps the main difference being the screen, as this is a much more modern machine and the screen is better than anything you could have dreamed of at the time. Anyway, I always wanted to try out the IMS Real 32 operating system, and I haven't done so yet. You may find that on archive.org or at WinWorld PC. And anyway, that is an operating system that can be installed on top of existing DOS, just very much the way you could with old Windows. And over here you can see an ISO image. I grabbed that, but due to lack, of course, of a CD-ROM drive on the book 386, I simply copied the contents of the ISO over to an installation directory on the C drive of the Pocket 386. And exactly from that directory, we shall now try to install things in real hardware, which, the way I have at least read just now, might really be even the recommended thing to do, as apparently there are a lot of people complaining on forums that this thing seems to be hard to run in emulation. And without further ado, let us therefore visit the installation directory IMS inst that I created to this end. There we're having here some demo exe and something called install exe, and we will simply install. I've never done that before. This is my first experiment in that direction, so this is truly experimental, and if everything goes wrong, I am already asking for your forgiveness in advance. So, no CD-ROM has been detected. Install cannot continue. What? It always ends in an ocean of pain, ladies and gentlemen. So if we look here at archive.org, from where I got the nice ISO image for Real 32, the thing is, you might still want to have that ISO image as it contains documentation. But other than that, that image will not be usable for installation the way I did it, because my DOS machine by nature, the way the Pocket 386 comes delivered, does not have a CD drive and hence doesn't have a DOS driver for CD. Dumping the contents onto the hard drive and trying to install from there, as you saw, leads to nowhere. And I tried also to use the subst command, where you can say subst drive letter directory, in order to have some directory to be aliased into a drive. And I thought, haha, I will thus install from D. Well, IMS Real 32 notices that and prevents you from installing. Great. Still, you should not throw away that ISO image, as it contains the manuals to the operating system. And media instead I got from WinWorld PC. They too have a set of install media for Real 32. But you see here, wanted manuals, so definitely it's nice to have that ISO image around. Now, looking at what Real 32 media here are offered, we can immediately exclude those center ones, because they're upgrade editions and we need a new installation. So you think, let's go to the first one. That is also an upgrade image, noticeable by the size, though not reflected in the name, and I had to find out the hard way. So there are two images of interest, 7.6 and 7.94. looking down there at the comments, which in WinWorld PC is always a very good idea, you're seeing someone called Dungeon Seeker. Dungeon Seeker is telling us 794 is completely worthless and 760 is fussy with the floppy sizes and it doesn't work in virtual PC, in VirtualBox. So I thought, noted, but that means that actually 7.6 is the most promising set. Apparently the 7.94 set might be somehow related to this 794 set on archive.org. Getting the 7.6 set, I placed the disks into a directory, and I thought I will just put the disk contents onto the hard disk of that is onto the compact flash card of the Pocket 386. Again, doesn't work. It really wants it to be the floppy. This, however, is accessible from DOS by default, and so I decided to run it into a virtual machine, and install from QEMU, which on Linux is my customary weapon of choice. Unfortunately, a QEMU install was impossible. I was just getting at some point funky colors and a hanging virtual machine, so no, I don't recommend QEMU. Indeed, I went to use heavier machinery, and with that I mean 86box. 86box is a retro PC emulator which is known to be very precise. Like, that's its shtick, so to say. It's not about speed, it's not about funkiness, it's about being a very exact emulator. And so I thought, okay, let's try things with 86box and install it there. And I decided that I would like 86box to operate on my compact flash card directly, so not to create a virtual machine image and like DD it onto the compact flash card, but supply the compact flash card as hard disk to 86box. And that turned out to be a bit tricky, but not all that difficult, right? So when I attach to my Linux machine the compact flash card in a compact flash card reader, it appears a second hard disk, dev_sdb. The problem is it's owned by root and not accessible by a normal user. So I used the chmod command in order to decrease here the privileges and let a normal serf like myself access it with a normal program. I did try initially to run 86box with sudo. However, despite the system booting properly and looking promising at first sight, it would then later simply not permit me to type anything. So it's like as if you don't have a keyboard. Great, did I think. So I had to do the privilege change thingy. Now, as the emulator boots, let's put that at the side. Let me get first the preferences, right? Because if you want to pull this off, it will be important to have the correct settings. As a machine type, I picked 386SX. As machine, this A-crosser thing looked interesting, and when you start it, it has actually about the same BIOS as the real Pocket 386, so that looked like a good idea. CPU type 386SX, speed 40. And the rest was not all that important. Yeah, 8 megabytes of RAM of course are important. The interesting parts are now the media. The floppies are by default 5.25 inch ones. You need to change them, or at least the first one, to 3.5 inch, as such is the media that you're getting from WinWorld PC. Here the 7.6 version is having 1.44 MB floppies. Having done that, you can also attach, like I did, a TAPI CD-ROM for good measure. Who knows? Maybe Real32 knows how to use it. Haven't tried yet, but why not? It's not like it costs anything. Well, and then the hard disk is the interesting part. There you say you want to have an existing hard disk. It asks you about the file, and you tell that it is def sdb. How's that? Does that work out? Miserably. Because at first you're getting 0, 0, 0, like it doesn't know what size it has. Okay, then I figured out that for me the correct settings of the compact flash card are 4066 cylinders, 16 heads, and 63 sectors for the 2 GB Pocket 386 compact flash card. These values you do actually see straight after DOS has booted in the normal environment. Like when you boot the Pocket 386, right before you get the DOS prompt, look at the text in the upper half of the screen, and there you will find these values, should yours differ from mine. Okay, having things set up that way, it is able to boot into DOS. It's now going to ask me whether to load a Real 32, because I already experimentally installed it, and this is like a second exercise together with you. Yeah, it will do that unless it hangs. It does that, unfortunately, sometimes, and when I pause it for too long, it seems that something's up with the compact flash card reader. Like, I don't know, does it go to sleep or whatever, but no, that looks like a no-go. So we will have to rerun that, and this time just not stop the boot. Yes, please do that. Okay. And there we have it. Let's let it do its thing now. So going here through the 8 megabytes of RAM. Alright, there was a little hiccup, but we have now booted into DOS. And here we can place a floppy. You would select existing image, but I anyway have it here in the fast image history. And now we are having in the A drive the IMS Real installation, and we can navigate to it and we can type install. Fun fact, if you were to type dir in A on Qemu, like not 86 box which we have right now open, it will not give you the directory listing, it will just hang the virtual machine, and whatever this Dragon Seeker or so person was writing in WinWorld PC about this being a weird format seems to be true. Okay, saying now install, it will ask me whether to do an upgrade or whether to install anew, and I will pick that I wanted to install it anew, just so we go through it together. I managed in my first experiment to select all sorts of options which did not work. So we're going to say here install a new system. Yeah, now it is asking for the serial number, which is here 2261 minus 0101 minus 003 005. Enter. Accept current settings. Belongs to Pocket 386. And press enter to continue. So that's exactly what I was starting to tell you about. Install a default system or continue with system configuration. And I thought, let's configure the system, let's just bravely dash ahead. I managed to create something unbootable. So I'm just going to go with a default system in the directory Real 32. I don't want a secure system installation, and God knows what that means if it's not an encrypted disk image for a system whose hard disk is a compact flash card that you can take out and read everywhere. And now it copies a couple of files, and look how interesting. IBMDOS.com, which is normally like a BIOS stingy like of these system files, is now becoming a Real 32 sys. The others are copied pretty much one-to-one, but this one isn't. So that's actually noteworthy. And finally, as we progress with our installation, there will be one thing that will be bothersome. Let's make it not always on top. so that we see the screen here better. And that is that the fourth floppy image does not get installed. The install crashes after 3 images. I don't know what should be on the fourth floppy image that is so important, but while it is, copying things here, we may just have a look at it. I mounted here the fourth floppy, and there seems to be only irrelevant stuff. There is some setup exe. I mean, I can certainly copy that to the disk. I haven't done that yet. And there is some v install, which might be indicating something to deal with Windows. Other than that, we're having some disk ID, like who cares, and some BMP and R32 win.red. God knows what that is, but it doesn't seem to be all too relevant, and the installation will work even without it. Of course, things had to be a bit experimental. I assume in the end it would have wanted to run setup exe, which never happened to be copied. Yeah, now I shall insert the second disk and press enter. Yeah, that will take its sweet time. The question, of course, is can you do that in Windows? I'm not entirely sure. In Macintosh, most likely you can, because you should be able to get to the device file. In Windows, I don't know. I mean, if you were highly adventurous, maybe you could create a virtual machine with Linux and give it access to the real USB device. Like some virtualizers allow you that. And then have the virtual Linux run 86 box and install on the real compact flash card IMS Real 32. But boy, in order to do that, you would really have to be in love with that system. And I admit I am not. Yeah. What is an interesting difference between QEMU and 86 box is that QEMU always just takes off like a rocket. You want to have a 386, of course you're going to have something like a 3 gigahertz 386 or something. Whereas, unfortunately, 86 box, being precise, says 40 megahertz, okay, 40 megahertz. And if you don't adjust that, it's just going to be 16 megahertz and, well, almost 3 times slower. These ZAP files are noteworthy. They are in the end referenced by the README file. They seem to be bug corrections and feature changes. Wrong disk. Yeah, it does tell me that warning if I mess up something. Yeah, look, what did I do? I inserted it in the second floppy rather than the first floppy drive. So now, escape followed by enter. I mean, that's realistic, right? It happened to me like 20 times before and I was like, what is wrong? But I have it in the floppy drive. Yeah, man, but you have it in the wrong floppy drive. And now we are approaching the moment where it crashes. It is just important, when it crashes, to not let ourselves be discouraged, but to simply stand up, dust ourselves off, and continue on as if nothing had ever happened. Something which Winston Churchill said most people do if they ever stumble across the truth. Okay. Wait, CMD. Yeah, how fitting to what we're busy doing, right? It's funny, we are seeing here that the floppy indicator is busy. And I do tell you, I see, you don't see it, but I do, because it's in the outer world, that the compact flash card is blinking. So this is running and running. Ta-da! And now, don't press F10 to abort. Press Escape to continue. The loader, as I later discovered, apparently has the task to set up your hard disk, but can be triggered manually from the real Pocket 386. And here, the README file indicates to you that Real 32 knows about Windows, and also that the zap files are there to, zap problems apparently. Here you have it, patches out a bug, and so on and so forth. I'm right now not busy with this, but yeah, there seems to be a point to them. And now, a reboot. First remove diskette from the drive. Let's say simply exit to operating system, and let us finish up the steps in the in the real Pocket 386. So I'm now exiting 86 box, removing civilized the floppy image, removing this too. I don't even know why it was mounted, but writing data to it, that's terrible. Anyway, that's it here. Let's hope that the real world brings us some more success. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's boot what we have installed. Okay, now there is the directory real32. Let's go to it. And now let's say loader. Because it was not loader, but loader, right? No, there. Oh, I have to go first to bin. All right, and loader. Yeah, it was low. Yeah, hard disk update successful. The first time I did it, it asked me to install it on the hard disk, but doing that anyway finishes the system installation. Okay, now we can reset the machine, and as it boots, it should now be asking us whether to start IMS Real 32, yes or no. Saying yes. Oh, this is cool. Let's us have it. So this is IMS Real 32 on top of the Pocket 386. And here down here, you see 4 spaces. These are essentially your 4 DOS sessions, which you are having open. And for instance, I can start here BW basic. Okay. And Control Escape and Alt Escape essentially will allow you to cycle through. So making this somewhat smaller again, so you see me pressing the keys. So Control Escape is cycling here through the windows, and I can go somewhere else. And Alt Escape is not showing me the menu, but really just going through them. You see, tick, 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 from left to right. And I could start here, edit, but somehow something seems to be messed up in edit's path. Look what's happening. Command the file name not found. I don't know how I did this, but I now need to see cdosedit.com for anything ever to happen. All right, but Alt Escape still works. So I can now cycle through BW basic, edit, and 2 free ones. So do I have actually the Midnight Commander? No. Can I try to run the Lisp interpreter xlisp SML? Yeah, so now I'm having a DOS session, BW basic, a file editor, and a Lisp system. Okay, so that is actually what you can essentially use this for. System. And now I exited that too, and Alt Escape is getting me here, and I can exit that as well. And now Alt Escape is just having
xlisp on the third screen. Does it actually get out with Control C or Control D or Control Z? Yes, Control Z does get it out. And so on and so forth. It's actually easy to use with Alt Escape and starting whatever you want to start once you have fought your way through the jungle of installing IMS Real 32. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of today's edition. Thank you very much for having joined. I hope to greet you here soon again for further adventures, and if not a subscriber yet, please consider joining our friendly community. Thank you for watching, see you soon, and goodbye.